all right, we're back. How you folks doing tonight? It's Coach UV here. Welcome back. This is the SPY Insider Leak, all right? The SPY Insider Leak. This weekend, we're stepping into some uncertainty. The markets that's moving with limited information, right? Government shutdown, some of the data that's been released, the non-farm payroll, employment claims, right? Job numbers, right? The shutdown is putting the key reports on pause. So let's make one thing clear. When the data stops flowing, discipline becomes your data. You understand? In this episode, the SPY Insider Leak, right? This game plan, all right? This is about thriving when others freeze. No data, no panic, because structure doesn't lie, even when headlines do. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the unique trading group where strategy meets mindset and discipline turns into income. And right now we have a selective market. Don't want to keep you holding. Listen, I got some juicy information for you. Next week, this data that we have coming out doesn't really matter. You see these informations, these titles here, but the information is going to be muted inside of these folders once the data is released. If this is your first time watching, no worries. This is data that's released each week, each month in the financial markets, right? The forexfactory.com. And this is where we get our data, right? The data controls the market. The numbers come out. The information comes out at a certain time, and it affects the price right at that moment, all right? That's what you need to know. But this government shutdown has caused a pause in some of the data, all right? And so we're going to have to not worry about that at all right? So don't worry, I got you covered. Now, where's the fear and greed index? Where are we with things? Let's see here. All right, we're neutral. We're right dab slap in the middle, okay? We're right slab in the middle. All right, now, like I said, we have a very, very selective market. All right? Energy, utilities, they're waking up. That's right. XLU has been doing this thing. Now, there's some strength, all right? Money is definitely rotating, and you want to pay attention. Is it ironic? It could be, all right? Cold weather is coming. Utilities, energy, these things pick up. But this is more of an AI play with these companies be able to use the energy with the chip, like the chip company and the energy. This is what it's about, all right? Can they thrive in this new market, all right? And rebuild and rebrand. That's the point. So, like I said, momentum is shifting. All right, liquidity is recalibrating, and volatility is whispering that something big is building. Something really big is building. Most traders are looking for confirmation, waiting on the non-farm payroll, inflation prints, right? The Fed to speak. But here's the truth, guys. Here's the truth. This week, those reports, right? They're not coming. Okay, they're not coming. And so that shouldn't be your main focus. All right. So ask yourself a question. What happens when the data feed cuts out? Do you freeze or do you flow? Because real traders don't need permission from the news, all right? We move with structure, all right, not speculation. So we're going to break this down, all right? We're going to break it down, all right? And you guys can view the charts if you want to. We're going to go through a couple of charts, SPY, Tesla, like I said, XOU. We also have NTLA, PRGS, some of the stocks on my radar. Okay, some of the stocks still in the same category. Like, for instance, Tesla is part of the NASDAQ. So the IXIC or the NAS, when that moves, Tesla moves, right? It's a futures market. So Tesla follows it as long as it's a part of the NASDAQ. SPY, on the other hand, as you see in front of you, this is part of the NYSE, all right? The ES, so the ES Mini. Whenever that moves, the future market, it moves the spot, okay? And so whatever the market is in NYSE, it will move within NYSE, all right? Something like a FTNT, maybe, possibly, all right? Now, the government shutdown, right? Now, it doesn't just stop paychecks, guys, all right? It stops the data. The agencies like Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Census Bureau, and the Department of Commerce, they all go dark, all right? That means that the NFP, CPI, PPI that we find on the forexfactory.com, they might not release on time, all right? So Forex Factory, like I said, and other calendars, you'll see these lists and these events, but those actual numbers, right, they won't be there. So they'll stay blank until the government flips the switch back on, and we don't know when that is. But again, we're trading the chart. Now, here's the psychological side. All right, the markets really, really do hate uncertainty. They do. Okay, the markets, they do hate uncertainty. I will say that. All right. However, when the data disappears, traders overreact. And these are the moments that I want you guys to catch, okay? All right, when data is not released, traders overreact. And we're going to have to use market structure to really tell us what the real story is, to be able to point out a good trading opportunity, right? And hopefully that's what you guys get from this video. All right, so if you've been liking it so far, the commentary, hit that like button. All right, you might want to stick around, because what I got for you for this video is going to prepare you, okay? Because if you guys don't know, all right, let me quickly show you real quick my YouTube channel. All right, thank you guys for watching and subscribing and liking my channel. I started this channel with 0 subscribers last year around Christmas. We're 6, 7, 8 months in, right? All the way October, 10, 11 months. And I've grown a little bit, all right, my views, and you guys are seeing value, and that's the point. You know, that's why I'm here. I'm here for you guys, and I really do appreciate you watching. And to get to the point, these videos that I dropped over the past couple of weeks, they've been preparing you, all right? SPY, higher for longer, right? We've been rallying. Slingshot reversal that we got on the NASDAQ and SPY, right? October setup, I was preparing you guys for the month before the month change, right? And just a couple of days ago, right, we caught it, the SPY breakout. We rallied hard. Bitcoin, Ethereum, NTLA, SPY, all right? All of this happened in real time, and I prepared you, but this is old news, all right? This is old news, and now we got new things to talk about, all right? Because now we got to go to the future. We know where we came from, so now this is where we are, okay? And so, like I said, markets hate uncertainty. All right, and when the data disappears, the traders overreact. You'll see volatility spikes, liquidity thin out, and emotional swings. All right, it's going to take over. We talked about these emotional swings before on previous videos, but elite traders, professional traders, experienced traders like myself, all right, the structured ones, we're not panicking, and I want you guys to be a part of that circle. We are reading price action like it's the only data left. This is serious, guys. Think about it. Because in times of silence, price becomes the truth. You understand? So what's the play? What's the play here on SPY? All right. You focus on what is visible. All right. Structure, location, and rhythm. All right. So you want to mark your levels. You want to mark your levels. Now, where are those levels at? Now, we are on the 15-minute time frame, right? We are on the 15-minute time frame. So just to get you guys prepared, we're going to go to the daily. All right. And this is what you want to do for the daily. Let me remove this this indicator here. I want to make sure that we have enough visual, enough space on the screen that you guys can see. Okay, now right here on the daily, right, let's remove everything. Let's get a clear chart. We have a daily candle, and what you want to do is you want to mark your levels on the daily, and you actually can do this on the weekly, right? We're going to use the weekly. You're going to mark your levels, okay? Now, I'm higher for longer. This is the SPY insider leak, okay? Higher for longer. The COT has been released, right? And the big banks are buying, all right? The big banks are still buying, all right? And you have retailers and spectators, they're short, all right? And fear brings opportunity for bulls, right? Because we want to see price continue upward, all right? And we have this continued rally. Now, this is the weekly time frame on SPY, all right? This green line here, we're going to change that to red. All right, we're going to change it to red. And we're going to move this green line down here, and I'll tell you why. Because down here at the green line, right, this green horizontal elementary line is where price bounced from before, inside of your weekly price movement range. The top of this candle is where price rejected. That's why we're making it red for resistance. All right, those are your two lines, and the last third line out of this three-step system that we're marking up is going to be the midway point. Now, I'm eyeballing it now, right? But to get that number, you simply add the low and the high of this weekly candle. You add the low and the high numbers together. Whenever you get that number, you divide it by 2, and that will give you your midway number for the weekly time frame. Okay, now what are we doing with this? We're going to move on down. We're marking our chops up, right? We're marking up the levels, right? You know where the daily and the weekly close sitting at, all right? The close for SPY last week was 669.21. Write that number down. 669.21. A little bit of tongue twister there, right? Okay, now we're going to go down to the daily. What we're doing is we're moving down so that we can see where price is at relative to the weekly price movement range. We got a little bit of resistance here, all right? But as long as we stay above the previous close, we'll be bullish. If we're below it right now, okay, we're going to see some bearishness. And we continue to move down on our chart to see what price has given us based on our system. Still above the midway point, still above the 21, still making higher lows, not quite a higher high, right? We have some resistance. Okay, that's the 4 hour. Let's move on down to the 1 hour. Okay, and what do you see here? All right, we are sitting right dab slab at the 21 EMA, okay? Still above our midway weekly price movement range. All right, that's what we have here. Let's go down to the 30-minute, and we're going to move on along and finish this because it's the whole point to this, and I want you guys to see, okay? I want you to understand, all right? Now, I want you to let the trend breathe, okay? Let it breathe, all right? If we close below, all right, we want to tighten up, all right? All right. Let me repeat that. We've already marked up our levels on the weekly. You know where the daily close sitting at, all right? And when the market respects it, it's like a base, and where impulsive moves begin to fade. Okay. 669, right? Remember 669. It's right around here. Okay, this is the area. Okay. You want to see price hold above this structure here. And we have these series of higher lows. All right. Series of higher lows. This is the hidden channel. Okay. You want to see this structure hold. Okay. Right here in this secret hidden channel here. Okay. But you also want to see a higher low here. Now we are below the 21. And we can see some possible downturn since we're oversold here. I'm sorry, a little bit overbought here, right? We've been running higher, okay? Even though I'm bullish, all right? This is a pendulum swing in a range of emotions. And so I wouldn't be surprised next week if we get a pullback a little bit further down on the SPY just to retrace 666. Okay, this is the midway point of our weekly and daily price movement range. That's what I'm looking for, all right, for price to retrace here and possibly bounce there like it did before. You see that in front of you right here on the 30-minute? All right, come on, guys. Let's make this simple, all right? That's where your base is at. This is where your base, okay? A better base would be at 661. So this would be your midway base, but you're looking here for a reaction, all right? Where the impulsive move begin to fade up here, that's the resistance of the weekly and daily price movement range, all right? If we close above this structure, we're more bullish. All right, and let the trend breathe. Like I said, if we close below it, tighten up your stop, tighten up, get yourself together, all right? Cut the trade if it's going against you. But you're supposed to be getting in at the best entries so that you could be taking profit and not chasing. You understand what I'm saying? Simple, repeatable, unemotional, all right? This is how you win when the data's gone. While others wait for the headlines, we watch the structure because structure repeats even when reports don't. You understand? Trading, all right? Like this shutdown is going to test your foundation, and everything you do boils down to 3 core pillars, all right? It's going to be boiled down to 3 core pillars, and I want you guys to understand that, all right? I'm going to take your eyes off of the chart, all right? This is Coach UV speaking. If you've been enjoying this so far, smash that like button right while you're at it, all right? And if you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing for valuable information. I've been preparing you guys week after week and month after month. Very serious about this, all right? It's a fun thing, but it's a serious business. You understand? And this is going to boil down to 3 core pillars, all right? Personal development is number 1, all right? Risk to reward is second, and location of the setup, all right? Let's break them down. Personal development, all right? You cannot control the market, but you can control your mind. If your internal data, your focus, your emotions, your discipline gets corrupted, your trades will also. So when everything goes quiet, that's your moment to train stillness over the weekend, just like what you're doing now, studying over the weekend. Give yourself some grace. You're in the right direction, okay? Second, risk to reward, all right? This is your sanity. Your account isn't a playground. It's a business. When there's uncertainty, you risk tightness, okay? That's what you do. Position size smaller. Let confirmation guide your entries, not your emotions, not what you think is going to happen. Slow down. Remember that survival is a strategy. Consistency comes from your discipline to stick to your plan. All right? Location of setup, the third one, all right? This is where the pros separate from the crowd, all right? The professionals, the experienced traders versus what they call retail traders, all right? Where are you entering? Are you buying strength? Are you chasing your emotions? Every trade has geographical, whatever you want to call it. Like you can see the choreographed move. You see it every trade, all right? And your edge is knowing the terrain, all right? How to navigate through it, all right? Location of setup. Now let me recap that. Personal development, risk to reward, and location of setup. That's what you want to think about. And here in your daily price, weekly price movement range, that's exactly what you have. Location, your terrain, you understand what's going on here, where it bounced at the 21, here EMA, right above your midway point at a previous demand level, it bounced, all right? And now we're making higher lows. If we stay making these higher lows, and what the market brings us come 6 o'clock tomorrow futures time, and the market rallies, we'll continue to go back to fill these gaps to retest highs. I am still bullish on SPY. I am. But I want to anticipate a pullback, all right? Because I would rather die than to chase the market. That's the discipline that I have. You understand? So, like I said, personal development, risk to reward, and location of setup. And location of setup is very important. Like I said, where are you entering at? Are you buying strength or are you chasing your emotions, right? Are you buying right here when we already been moving, right? Waiting. The market will do this. Listen, it's not the market, right? The market is only a mimic, a mirror of what you are, right? So if somebody's chasing, the market literally waits for the wrong buttons to be pressed. The liquidity goes into the market at the wrong time. That's when the moment happens. When you see red candles, all right, it's a consequence of a trading error and profit taking and selling all at the same time, all right? So where are you buying? Are you buying when price is dropping, extreme highs in the Bollinger Band, extended away from a base, or are you buying the base above a 21 or a higher low or a range break? Where are you buying at? You understand? Think about that. I want you to think about that, all right? Now, this is what I call a matrix analogy, all right? Because I got SPY, all right, taking a breather, all right, and retesting these highs, all right? $700 is in the making for SPY. All right, now here's Tesla in front of us. I got Tesla in front of my chart. All right, now listen, this is why I want to bring back the matrix. Okay, I got to do it. I got to bring back the matrix to check this chart out. All right, Tesla took a big pump all the way up to the 460 levels, right? 470, big money, right? Of course, somebody's going to take profit. Of course, it's going to happen. But because most traders are still plugged into the matrix, all right, they react to every green candle like it's a signal and every red one like it's doom. But once you learn to see the code, once you see the market structure as repeating patterns of behavior, the game slows down. All right, you start noticing rhythm. You stop chasing spikes. You suddenly realize that you're the person in your way. What looks chaotic to others feels calm to you once you slow down and notice the rhythm, the structure, okay? That's the shift. That's the shift from reactive to aware, from impulsive to intentional. And that's when trading becomes not a gamble, but a form of mastery. You understand what I'm saying? So before I get into anything more mindset, let's check out Tesla. What do we have here? All right, Tesla has on a 1 hour an inverse head and shoulders. Right now we have an inverse head and shoulders. That's what it seems to look like to me, an inverse head and shoulders. If you're not familiar with what that is a pattern that says that the bears are exhausted. What are the bears? Bears is traders who short the market when it goes down. Yes, you can make money when it goes down, and they sell the market. That's what bear means. A bull is when they want it to go up. A bull is a representation of a person who likes to buy the market and see the market go up. All right. The inverse head and shoulders pattern, like how we talked about pattern recognition and the rhythm, that's part of it, right? Screen time on a chart. And this is a inverse head and shoulders, which is a bullish pattern. The bears are getting exhausted. They're giving up. All right. And so what am I looking for? I'm looking for a retest of 436. All right. And a retest of 444. All right. If we reject these marks here, which is the midweight of this range, Tesla will continue to go down. And so you're looking for this move here. This is the move you're looking for. All right. Bounce off of the 20, bounce from the 20, bounce up to the 21. possibly reject to come retest some of these lows here. All right, to possibly create a double bottom. All right, just to retest 444, 445, 446, to reject again, to come and retrace back to the market structure. Now that's a possible scenario here on Tesla for us to retest these highs. However, if we don't get that bounce here, that rotation, Tesla could see another retest of 416 and also breaking that range to fill these gaps towards 400. All right, remember that I said that. All right, so you want to wait. That's what it's about, waiting to see what the structure tells us and not rushing into every trade because you see a green or red candle. It's important to understand structure. Where can price go to and where is it leaving from? So that's what I'm telling you guys. Rewind that if you need to see that, because that's very important. All right, it's very important. All right, remember, Tesla right now, okay, we need to see it above previous close on any ticker, any stock. That'll never change for me. If you see price above previous close, it's bullish and it's trying to retest these highs. But don't chase, right? All of this bear momentum, you got to be thinking the bears are going to try to take it back down, and so you don't want to chase. All right, you don't want to chase. You want to wait for the perfect setup and the perfect risk to reward. We could retest lows 416. We could go back to 444, 445. All right, if we find some footing here and volume comes in from us being oversold here to go back up the same way we did here. All right, we went up 20-30 points. We could do the same thing here from where we start from, 20-30 points, right back up here to catch some of these highs. That's what we could do. All right, but you want to wait for the best risk to reward. All right, now let's talk about something real quick. All right, let's talk about mindset. All right, and we're going to wrap this video up. I got 2 more tickets for you guys. Hope you've been enjoying thus far. Very important video. I wanted to tap into your mind this time. You know, it's a little bit something different. This is a SPY insider leak, okay? And I am bullish on the market. Let me repeat that. I am bullish on the market. All right, expecting pullbacks for the best risk to reward. All right, so yes, the shutdown might stall the data. Okay, yes, headlines will spin uncertainty. You're going to see it all over the place, all right? But your edge isn't information, it's interpretation. While everyone's panicking over what's not released, you'll be watching what is visible. The structure of SPY, the NASDAQ, Tesla, right? The rotation of sectors, all right, into energy, the behavior of volume at key closes. You want to see volume hit at those opening and closing prices. All right, it's the algo for the casino we're trading here. Okay, so when the data stops, we focus on discipline, development, and direction. That's how you stay elite. All right, that's how you trade clarity inside of the chaos. All right, so that's the takeaway. All right, no data, no panic. All right, no data, no panic. Your preparation is your report. All right, that's what it is. Your patience is your edge, and your structure is your certainty. When others freeze up, we adapt. When others react, we prepare. Because at the end of the day, the market regards no one. All right, this is not like a cookie cutter type of deal. All right, the market is a way for you to shape and form your own style. It is very unique. Okay, guys, that's why I formed this group, Unique Trading Group, right? Because the market is very unique, and we only need to get in a position. We don't need to know what's going to happen every time. We don't have to know we don't have to be right and wrong in trading. You don't have to be right to make money. Anybody can go click, all right? We're focusing on consistency. It's a difference. It's a big difference, all right? So as you head into next week, I want you to tighten up, stay ready, and keep your mind clean, because time is on your side, all right? Time is your time to stand out, period. This is your time right now, all right? So before we finish, all right, I promise you guys I will show you these stocks. We put out these stocks last week, NTLA. Had some big buys coming into this stock. We are above key moving averages here. I put the group in this stock at $16 in the Discord. If you want to join the Thriver community where we update you, we have weekly reports. We have confidence build, trading strategies that work personalized for you. All right, where we learn to fish together. It's a learning community where we earn and learn. All right, that link is below to join the community. We would love to have you, and thank those for who have joined over the past couple of weeks and months. All right, but NTLA, like I said, we got in at 16. I'm looking for the stock to hit 25. I'm taking profits there, but this is a long-term hold. All right, a long-term hold. Do your research on the company. NTLA. All right, I like the technical setup here on NTLA, and that's been strong ever since. So keep your eyes on that. All right, we also talked about how energy, all right, and the energy sector has been seeing some flow. PRGS. All right, this stock looks just like Tesla almost right here. As far as the way it looks, is down below the 21, a little bit oversold. I'm looking for high prices, guys, above the 21 on Tesla, SPY. All right, the 21 EMA. All right, and above the closes. This is what I'm looking for. Prices sustained above previous closes to show some strength. I am bullish. So if price is below my bullish points that I like to buy at, I'm just waiting for a discount. It's on discount. All right, as long as we are showing bullish structure on a higher time frame on any stock you're looking at, then the micro, the smaller time frames, like your 5 minute, 3 minute, or 30 minute, or maybe 15 or 1, these are where you want to do your entries and your exit at if you're day trading and/or trying to get the best bang for your buck on a momentum trade. All right, if that makes any sense to you. All right, guys, now listen, I'm going to end it there. All right, remember what I told you about SPY 700 hitting all-time highs again, Tesla taking a breather, retesting some of these previous ranges. All right, and we got to wait to see for confirmation. That's what we're waiting for. All right, I'm Coach UV. All right, this has been your SPY Insider Leak game plan. Your SPY Insider Leak game plan. Remember what we talked about, guys. All right, the report is bullish. All right, the data is out and the banks are buying, but we want the best risk to reward. Okay, that's what we want. So below 668 will be below the previous close, and if we continue to see bearish pressure into Sunday evening and Monday morning, we will try to retest some of these prices down here. Okay, but if we wake up in the morning and we are above it, price is going to rally towards these other highs. And all right, and if you don't get that move, if you didn't swing, don't chase it. Wait for a pullback to key levels to fill in some of these price movement ranges. Okay, just understand that. Understand the range that we're in, and you'll trade better. Right. So guys, listen. Stay disciplined. Stay dangerous, because when the world goes silent, structure still speaks. All right. I'm Coach UV, and this is a unique trading group where strategy meets mindset and discipline turns into income. Appreciate you guys' time tonight. Until the next time, guys. Peace.